The Witcher 3 is one of my favorite games ever, and I know that's also true of a lot of you as well. And today we actually get to do something pretty cool. We get to try The Witcher 3 Next Gen Upgrade, Enhanced Edition, whatever you want to call it. We get to try it early. I, like many of you, have been waiting to go back into The Witcher 3 for like a year and a half, specifically to get to play this next gen upgrade ever since they announced it. And it's taken a while, it's finally here, and we're gonna see what it's like. And real quick, I don't have any sponsors for this video, but I did make this video a fundraiser to raise money for the NCMEC, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. If you have an extra buck or two, don't throw it at me through super chats or anything. Throw it to that fundraiser. You'll see it on the side of the video or on mobile. It'll be like a little bar. We're trying to raise money for it. It's a great cause, and I figured we should use this opportunity to do something relatively good for humanity. So go donate any money you've got there. Let's do some good. Okay, guys, let's get into it. Now we are getting to play this on the PlayStation 5 to test out adaptive triggers, improved haptic feedback, load times, all of that goodness. From the moment we booted up, there's not a whole lot that has changed. The one change I noticed immediately is actually the version 4.0 listed in the top left corner. But other than that, it looks pretty standard. But the moment we boot up, you're gonna notice some real differences. This is a save. I've got maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hours into it just to get a little bit of our feet underneath us. But right off the bat, you can tell we've got 60 frames, and you'll also notice the camera angle has changed now to a more modern, sort of slightly offset position. But this is the camera angle that we've seen most modern third-person RPGs and open world exploration games take, where it's slightly off-centered to the left. It's what Red Dead Redemption 2 uses. It's what, I mean, Rockstar more generally has used for a long time. Everything from Callisto Protocol to the latest Assassin's Creed games all take this approach, and it's because it just appears a little more cinematic. If you know the rule of thirds in photography, that's basically why this is pleasing to the eye. And just to make it crystal clear, I will go into the settings. You can change this if you don't like it. If we go to gameplay all the way down here and change all these settings to default, funnily enough, by default in the updated version of the game, it's not default, it's all set to close. But if you set it to default and back out, you'll see the camera shifts. And this is the camera angle you're probably used to if you played a lot of The Witcher 3 back in the day, because this is the centered angle that they normally did. I personally really like the new changed angle, and so I'm going to keep it there. One of the other changes you'll notice is that there's an option for quick sign casting, and this is actually pretty cool. You guys know that in the previous version of the game, you had to hold down this button to pull up this like panel to select which of the signs you wanted to equip. And then it was a quick R2 or right trigger in order to use that sign. Now it's slightly shifted, so you can either keep that or you can hold down right trigger and it will pull up this little bar in the bottom right, so you can quick select whichever sign you want to use, regardless of whether it was equipped or not or selected from this menu. So like if I want to just quickly use, say, Quen, and then I want to blast some Ard, I can do that, throw down Yurden real quick. I can do that. I don't have to pull up a menu to stop the game every 10 seconds. One of the other things that is going to be a matter of personal preference is whether you play with performance or fidelity mode enabled. You see, if I run up to the water, this is a great place to test it. You see, the reflections don't look bad in performance mode by any stretch of the imagination, but if you take a mental screenshot of this, Jacob, let's take a screenshot of this. But if I go into settings, go options, display, graphics, I can then choose from performance, I can swap it to ray tracing. You notice it says on PS5, this will target 30 FPS with dynamic resolution. So then we back out, it's gonna feel a little rough going from 60 down to 30, but if we back all the way out, you'll notice that now we have accurate ray tracing in the distance all the way around us. There's some slight artifacting with the reflections on the far left, but you can see that it's actually reflecting what is above it. And even if the camera drifts up, it largely remains, though once again, there are some artifacts in terms of what the camera thinks is there. You see, it thinks there's a big tree right there in the dead center of the screen. If we look up, that changes to the house. I don't totally understand why this happens, but my understanding is it's basically one of the compromises they made to get it working on consoles. It's not like full ray tracing like we saw in Cyberpunk 2077, but it's a slightly altered version of that. What do you want from me? I'm not Digital Foundry, okay? I don't have all the answers. Now, with that having been said, ray traced global illumination is something that is certainly great, and it's nice to have. But personally, for me, and this is going to be different for everybody, I would rather have 60 frames when playing on console than 30. I don't think that it immediately means the game sucks if you're playing at 30. I just personally prefer 60 if it's an option, especially when the ray trace reflections aren't significantly better than what we would get with the screen space reflections, and they're still artifacting and stuff. I prefer the 60, but whatever, that's just me. One of the other changes you might have noticed as well is in the little bits on the bottom right of button mapping and things, they've changed sprint, so it's no longer tapping X or A if you're on Xbox. Now sprinting is tied towards pushing the left stick in. Again, more in line with typical games and other mainstream, AAA RPGs and open world games that you've played. Across the board, they've also increased vegetation density. They've increased the quality of the bloom effects, of the hair effects. Texture quality is greatly improved. And all of this is because this, in large part, was sort of an absorption of several mods that have been available in the PC space for years at this point, but they made it official basically. So all of the increased foliage, the LOD distance, you can see all the way out there. As far as we can see, there's still animals being rendered. The foliage is still generated. It's way more dense than it was in the previous version of the game, and it looks tremendous. They've also done a handful of things where they've reworked how the UI looks, specifically which points of interest appear on the map by default. I think this is a great change. I always felt as though the UI was a little overly aggressive with showing you every little tidbit that was available on the map, so I think that that's a really good change. But it's important to note that those things can be turned back on in the menus if you prefer that. You'll also notice that while I'm out exploring, I have the mini-map turned off. It's not that it's gone, it's that it's been changed. And so I can bring it back by bringing up my Witcher senses if I choose, but this is specifically while I'm exploring. If I'm not exploring or if I'm in a like detective mode, it's going to change it so it'll stay present. But again, this is something you can change in the settings if you want, or you can just keep it like this all the time where it automatically fades out. It's really up to you. On PlayStation 5, they've also added improved haptic feedback on the controller. There's adaptive trigger support, specifically when you're using signs and holding down the right trigger. It's nothing amazing or revolutionary, but it's certainly there, and it does feel a lot better than it did on the previous version of the game. So, it's a thing. They've also added some new DLC and different items that you can get, which I'm not going to be showing because this is still technically not out yet, and I don't want to spoil that. I know a lot of you guys are going to be playing this yourselves and would not appreciate having that quest line spoiled, so I'm not going to show you that. But I will say on a different save, I went through it, and you know what? I think those missions are worth going through. I'll just leave it at that. But if you have The Witcher 3, you own it already, and if you were thinking of going back after this update is made available, after all, it's free, I would definitely suggest you go back and check it out because I do think that it is worth your time. But really, at the end of the day, this is meant to be the definitive version of The Witcher 3. This is supposed to offer console players something that PC players have had for a long time. And for PC players, it offers some native first-party support for features and things that they've probably already been using mods to get. Yeah, let's see. A place like this is where the ray tracing will be very, very clear. If we go in here, display, graphics, ray tracing, we turn that off, you see just how much it changes. Totally, totally different. Is it breathtaking? I personally don't think so. I like it looks better, yeah, but I don't think this is like amazingly improved to the point where you sacrifice half your frames. Now, I hopped on our Discord, which I'll have linked below in the description box beneath the like button if you want to join up. It's awesome. It's a tremendous community. And after the announcement of this free upgrade to the game, I took note of a bunch of questions that you guys in the community had about what this was bringing to the table. And it wasn't even close. The biggest question people had was whether or not this was actually going to offer anything unique to PC players, because a lot of PC players who have been playing this game for the last few years with improved hardware, you know, a 2070 or a 3080 or whatever, they haven't struggled with frame rates. They haven't struggled with fidelity. You can download mods to achieve this same quality. I mean, after all, this free upgrade is basically just an official mod to the game. Is basically what it is. And I'm just going to be totally honest with you. It doesn't really do anything that PC players haven't already had. But to be honest, it's not what this was supposed to be or supposed to be doing. Like, this was designed as an improvement for console players. They're the ones that are mainly going to benefit from these tweaks and the engine refinements and the improved textures and things. If you've been on PC, you've had access to this fidelity for, I mean, honestly, like 7 years. From the moment this came out, you were able to crank it if you had the resources to have a computer that could do it, and if you also had the ability to like mod the game files with higher res textures. But the one benefit, and the reason I think you should still give this a shot and boot the game back up if you are a PC player, is because, for one, the official support for different camera angles like this, alterations within exploration for automatically hiding UI elements, things like that, definitely improve the quality of the game on an ongoing basis. And I'm gonna get clapped with this because I am level 2 and a couple of these guys are level 4. The little Igni. Ooh, baby, you can't stand a chance. Ooh, God, okay. Touche. Pop a pill. Who shot me? Who was it? Oh, you little bugger. Okay, I see you. Whack, whack, whack. Ooh, just as good as ever, I'll tell you what. And of course, in addition to all of this stuff, we also have benefits such as free DLC, more things available to the player, you know, unique items that are specific to the Netflix series, which I have mixed feelings about. But you know what? If you want to dress up the Nilfgaardians to look like My Pillow Pets, then you can do that. I also love finding this artwork, the concept art, as paintings within the world. I just find that to be like such a cool way of using something they did during the development of the game, but you can find it in game. Oh, it's great. I wish I could take this. I wish I could take this painting for, you know, when you get your whole villa in Blood and Wine and you can hang all your paintings. I wish I could take that one. But you know what? One of the things that we saw as a benefit to ray tracing was global illumination. You can't really tell it in the daytime. It's not easy to tell what that even does. So let's fast forward a little bit. You can also get to meditation quickly by just pulling up the little sign wheel and then hitting square. We'll go all the way. I want to go in the middle of the night. We are in the middle of the night. It's still pretty bright if I'm being real. But I'm going to go into the options. I'm going to turn on the ray tracing. And immediately, already, you can see the shadows. Everything is way, way different. I mean, just look at this side by side. This makes it very clear the benefits of ray tracing. In daytime, I don't think there's a ton of benefit. But at nighttime, just the shadows being cast make it actually feel like nighttime. It's way different. I mean, yeah, the 30 frames at night here is not my favorite, but I mean, on console, I could actually see why this might be beneficial. This is markedly improved. Honestly, looking at this now at nighttime, I can see why you might want to play at 30 frames on console, even if you're used to 60, because this is way better. It's not perfect. So for example, the trees don't seem to be casting shadows, which is a little strange once you notice it. So like this light should be casting a shadow across the tree. The tree should have a shadow dropping on the ground beneath it, but it doesn't have that. So that's a little disappointing, but oh, what are you gonna do? Let's see, other objects like these barrels are casting shadows realistically. You can see that as I walk away, you can see the shadow being cast behind it and on the wood beneath it. That's cool. Barrels all have it. These items all have shadow effects, but for some reason the trees don't have shadow casting, which is odd, especially because like in this game, there are, dare I say, a lot of trees. And then if we switch back to performance, I mean, I don't see a huge difference. If we pull up the torch and we start walking around with it, it doesn't look as good. I would say, especially around Geralt, you can tell that the lighting is not anywhere near as high quality, but it's certainly serviceable. So this is going to be really a case-by-case basis as to whether or not you think it's worth it. Now, before anybody asks, I have not actually been able to test the PC version of this. I did request a PC code. However, I was told by the people over at CDPR that codes were, quote, extremely limited and that they couldn't promise that I would get a PC code, but they could offer a PlayStation code. I don't know why PC codes were more difficult to hand out than, you know, a console code, but you know what, it's above my pay grade, and it's certainly above the pay grade of the people I was talking to, so I won't pretend to know why that was the case. It's a little strange to me, but what are you gonna do? What I will say is, from what I've seen, I would not expect there to be any like major alterations or differences between this and the PC version, besides just running better, you know, besides just having a higher frame rate and stuff like that. So I don't know if there's going to be a way to crank ray tracing up to ultra and then have all of that take effect, have the trees cast shadows. I don't know that. I hope so, but we're just gonna have to wait and see together. Yes, there are things even spoiled YouTubers given access to games early don't know. There's things that they don't tell us and we just kind of have to guess on. But if we're being real, this is a free update. You don't have to pay for this. This is just included if you already own the game. And for that value, I mean, it's definitely a must download. And the fact that there's also DLC, extra skins and things, I think if there ever was a time to jump back into The Witcher 3, this is the time and the place to do it. I'm going to be doing it with the PC version or the PlayStation. We'll decide based on performance and stuff like that once it fully comes out and we can test it extensively. But as of right now, I mean, this is just what I was hoping for. It's The Witcher 3 in a more polished and refined package, and it runs great. Stability is there. It's just across the board everything I wanted. Now, let me be clear. There's nothing here that's game changing, but if I had to describe what this is or tell you like how you should think of it, it's really just The Witcher 3 with some mods, but it's running on console. That's basically how you can think of it. And on PC, it's The Witcher 3 with mods pre-enabled and pre-installed with official support and stability checks, and then some ray tracing support on top of it. Like that's what it is, and in that capacity it works pretty well, but it's nothing more special than that. It's just The Witcher 3 with mods, basically. In a lot of ways, actually, I just realized this. It's kind of like that Skyrim Anniversary Edition thing that they did, or Skyrim Special Edition, where it was just Skyrim, but with mods pre-installed. But the difference is CD Projekt Red isn't charging you $60 for it. So I guess that's something to take home. You know, really reminds you of the difference between some companies. I have my own set of problems with CDPR after Cyberpunk 2077. And so I'm not somebody that's just going to give them a free pass or accept uncritically everything that they say. But what I will comment on and what I will give them credit for is not charging $60-$70 for this when, let's just say, a lot of other big, large, well-known developers almost certainly would, because they've done it many times in the past. But I think that will do it for me today. I wanted to give you guys a quick look at what The Witcher 3 looks like with this enhanced next-gen upgrade enabled. And all told, it runs really well. It's a great change to an already tremendous game, and I think it's worth re-downloading and trying for yourself once it launches officially on December 14th. And on December 14th, which is a Wednesday, I will be streaming, because I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday over on Luke Stevens Live here on YouTube. You can just look up Luke Stevens Live, or you can follow the link in the link tree in the description box below the like button. We'll be playing this on PC, testing it with my 3080, maybe my 4090 if it's in by then, and we're gonna see what we can push this game into looking like with all of the bells and whistles enabled. So again, make sure to head over there, subscribe so you get notified of when that stream goes up. I'll look forward to seeing you. I will also let you guys know that we have a massive critique for God of War Ragnarok coming very, very quickly in the next few days, so make sure to subscribe and ring the bell for that. It is it's one of the biggest videos I've made in a very long time, so I'm just gonna leave it there. It's kind of headache inducing. It's been a journey to put this thing together, but hopefully you guys like it at least a little bit. But with that, I'm gonna go eat dinner. It's 5 o'clock. So I'm gonna clock out. Much love, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with me. I love you all. Like the video if you liked it. Share with a friend. It's the best way to help these videos do well. Subscribe, ring the bell. Blah, blah, blah. You've heard it all from other YouTubers. Do it or don't. I can't. I have no power over you, so do whatever you're gonna do. I love you all. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.